Hi, my name is Elle. I'm a cross-stitch artist and designer here on TikTok, and welcome back to my How to Cross Stitch tutorial series. So we've been talking about some specialty stitches in the last couple of videos, and we're going to keep going along that trend. So we're going to be covering quarter stitches, and then we will cover half stitches, and then we will do 3/4 stitches. Half stitches are by far the easiest. If you're doing full stitches, you're just doing 2 half stitches on top of each other to make a whole stitch, a full stitch. So we're going to talk about quarter stitches because you need to know how to do quarter stitches in order to do 3/4 stitches. However, I hardly ever use quarter stitches. I don't particularly like them, but I do like 3/4 stitches, and I think they can make some really, really cool effects and looks like that. In my last video about the back stitching, I was showing off this piece that I did. This piece uses a lot of 3/4 stitches. So let's get going. All right, so to explain quarter stitches, we're going to start with a diagram. So each of these big spots is going to represent the corners of the cross that we typically make. So when we are usually stitching, we lay down 1/2 of our cross first, and then we lay the other half of our cross down on top. Forgive me, I'm left-handed. So when we are doing quarter stitches, this point in the middle, we're going to have an imaginary point here, an imaginary hole right there. And we are actually going to pull our thread up and out of our corner just like normal. And we are going to go down through the center of our cloth, right there in the middle, in between all of these holes. And your fabric will have some threads that run this direction and some threads that run this direction. So you want to try and make sure that you get your needle. There should be 4 strands that run each direction. You want your needle to go in between so you should have 2 little strands on each side and 2 little strands on each side. So it's going directly down through the middle of your piece. So now I'm going to show you what that looks like on an actual piece of Aida cloth. And the reason this is called a quarter stitch is because if you did 4 of these individually in the same color or in different colors or whatever, it's going to look almost exactly like your full stitch. But because you're only doing 1/4 at a time, you can do each of these in different colors to make different effects. All right, so the first color I'm going to start with is black. I'm going to come up through my first corner just like normal, and I'm going to come down in the center of my cross just like that. So that is a single quarter stitch. Now, the cool thing about this stitch is that you can use up to 4 different colors. So I'm going to thread a second color onto my needle, come up through a different corner. I'm going to do the top right one this time and come back down through that same center point. Come on. There it goes. So I've got black and I've got green, and then I'm going to grab my red. Load my red onto the needle. Through the bottom corner, the bottom right quarter, like that. So there's 3. And then let's do my last color that I have ready to go, and that's going to be our light purple. So up through that bottom one. And again, back through that center stitch. And so as you can see, it looks like a full cross, except it's made of 4 different colors. And you can do those in kind of any formation. However, this is not how you do a 3/4 stitch. A 3/4 stitch is not 3 separate quarter stitches. It is done a little bit differently, but you do need to know how to do a quarter stitch in order to complete a 3/4 stitch. So there you go. That is my tutorial on how to do a quarter stitch. For me personally, I don't ever really use quarter stitches by themselves in pieces. However, quarter stitches are a necessary foundational stitch in order to make 3/4 stitches, and I do really like how 3/4 stitches look when they're added to pieces. So it is a good skill to have and to know how to do, where you're coming up through the corner and going down through that center point. That's going to help you when you're doing back stitching. It's going to help you when you're doing 3/4 stitches. And it can also help you with French knots. So sometimes a French knot is placed in the center of the square instead of in one of the 4 corners. So you can also work French knots in and out of that center point as well. So I hope that helps, and I'll cover half stitches next.